Hello and welcome back, guys. Well, fall's in the air and leaves are everywhere, but this year I don't so much care because last week my dad and I built this leaf collection system for my riding lawnmower, and it's actually been working out pretty great. So, figured I'd show it off to you and, see how it all works out. Alrighty, so this is the riding lawnmower I got. It came with the house when I bought it about a year ago, so it's just a little standard Craftsman, and it's got a little 16.5 horsepower motor in it, and two big old mulching blades that actually do a good job of blowing stuff up. Now, when I actually got this lawnmower, it had a conventional leaf system in it, so you have the 3 buckets over here, and this works pretty good, except for on a yard that I got right now, you could barely make one lap around it before that thing's full, and especially if it's wet, it ends up plugging up really quick and getting jammed at the linkage between this point here, which would normally attach here. And, well, I mean, it works, but the thing is, it just didn't have much capacity to it. So, my dad and I were thinking, well, how could we take this trailer that I have now and make it into a box, and so I can collect more leaves into it and kind of reduce that amount of time? Because it would normally take me about 4 hours to do my entire yard with all the leaves here. So, we took the standard kind of conventional leaf system here, which just runs right off where normally all the grass kicks out, and then we put on this big old pipe here. And what this pipe is, and this pipe runs back to a big old box, but we'll get to that. This is just a 6-inch ID ducting, metal stuff that just kind of extendos when you kind of get to it. So it's somewhat flexible, but not really. And so what we have is a reducer from 7 inches to 6 inches. And then we put some duct tape around this because it was getting dinged up with a couple of the sticks that were running through it. So figured I might as well reinforce it, and duct tape fixes everything. So there you have it, duct tape and bungee cords. So that runs up, and it runs up into this big old sock. And this is kind of a fun idea. So this sock here actually moves around because when you think about it, this trailer, as it swings left to right, it moves this point in relation to the back of the lawnmower. So it has to be able to float in some regard. So we ended up just taking some of the heavy plastic here and then leaving it with a lot of slack. So as it's moving back and forth, we're doing this number. But this is just a normal 10 cubic foot like trailer, not really anything too fancy. It does have the ability to dump. Here, we'll back it up. But we just went the full length here, so it's about 40 inches long, 40 inches tall, and 24 or so inches wide. It gives me about 22 cubic feet of volume, as compared to, I think, right around 6 or 9 with the standard setup right there. So you can't really back up as easily, but you can get going and stay going for a long time. So on a yard my size, this actually makes a lot more sense to have some sort of trailer contraption here. One of the cool things, though, is that you can actually grab this here and just pull it straight back out. And there's nothing to hold it back on the bottom here, and this bar will actually remove. So when I pull that off, that's how you get the leaves out. And then you just end up dumping this whole thing out and driving away. And the rope on the front side here just kind of tows that, make sure that this box stays with it, and ends up dumping the leaves out pretty good. So yesterday my dad and I ended up taking this around the entire yard here, so as you can see it's nice and green. And for those of you who have been watching some of my other stuff here when we were doing some work and kind of getting this backyard together, you can see, look at all this nice green grass. A lot of improvements have been made to the backyard. We got rid of an old pool that was turned into a giant flower pot earlier in the year. However though, you can see that there's a fair bit of distance and a fair bit of area to cover. It's not a huge yard, it's not like acres or anything like that. But, if you have to drive all the way from back here and then go to the front of the house where we actually dump it on the street so that the city comes and picks it up and turns it into compost, you can end up making a lot of trips from back here. You're talking about making about 14 or so trips from the backyard to the front yard just in order to get all the leaves. Anywhere between 12 and 14. But when you do it with the new contraption over here that we put on the back, it really only takes about 4 to 5. So a big improvement there, a lot of time saving because you just don't have to make as many trips. So let's go ahead and cut to some of the footage that we have and I'll show you it working. Alrighty, so here we are in the front yard just running through some fairly light leaves, and you can see right there it's kicking up and going right into the box, no problem at all. The sock is a little bit slack there, so it's deflecting it right down near the center of the box though. But as we get into some heavier stuff back here, this is my dad here just rolling on the lawnmower right there, you're going to see something a little bit different. Alright, so up close now, as we get the box a little bit more full, It's dropping down there, but there's that little piece of plastic that runs across the back there. And what that does is actually keeps the shape of the sock in such a way that's going to deflect it down and keep it away from that back netting for a while. But once it fills up here, and as you can see the back is completely covered, there's a little vent on the left hand side, and that releases some of the back pressure there so that we can continue to fill that up nice and full. So even though it looks quite full from the back, as we move around here to the front, there's still quite a bit of volume to go. But without that hole in the side, it would actually have a bit of a problem. So there you go, you can see it just collecting. That was about one trip around the backyard. So we can do that all over again, and then it's time to go up front and dump it. So here we are, driving up front, got a nice full load. It does actually make the trailer kind of heavy, but not too bad though. Back it right in, and this is where we're gonna dump everything out. So I'm gonna take that bar off the back there and put it on top while my dad takes the tube out of the front of the sock there, because when you go to dump it, that whole thing's gonna go right there. So one bungee cord to get rid of that, and then I can just pull the box right back, and that'll dump a bit of the leaves right when I do that. Kind of gets them started, and then just releasing the trailer right there. And now the last step in the process is to just jump back on the lawnmower and drive away and leave the leaves behind. So here we go. So one neat thing is that it actually ends up leaving these kind of square-like leaf piles as you drive away. So something new, something I haven't really seen before, and the whole system works out pretty quick. Just put it all back together, kind of throw on the back there, put the hose back in the sock, and reattach it, and you're good to go. Not too long. I'd say it's a pretty slick system. So depending on where you are in the world, I hope you guys are enjoying this nice fall weather as the leaves begin to change here and we go through that nice last beautiful stage before the long cold winter. At any rate, guys, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Peace.